I'm Caleb Brooks with the AHSAA Radio Network. I'm at Pike Road High School, joined by head football coach, Coach Patrick Browning. And Coach, you know, for you guys, you've gotten the season started. It's your second year here as the varsity head football coach, and you're 2-0, and you can't really ask for a better start. But it's similar to a year ago. You guys got off to a great start a season ago. We're really rolling, and then just kind of hit a skid in the middle of the year. And the kids kind of talked about that a little bit. Talked about just hadn't really had experience having to play that deep, play that many games, and have a playoff run the way they did. And now that they have that experience, have you seen a difference in this group this year compared to a season ago?
Yeah, first of all, thanks for coming out. We really appreciate you taking the time to meet with us today. Our kids, this has been really a 4-year process for us. They hired me of April, so I was really here part of the first year after that first season. And they got better each year. I could see the development of the kids, but I had no idea what it was going to be like with no seniors going into that first year of varsity. And I think CJ hit on it the most. They did not know how to respond when adversity hit, and partly it was because they hadn't lost a game since I've been here. But we've been playing middle school, junior high, JV, and me, coaching in both high school and the college level. They had no idea what was coming, and when adversity did hit, they really didn't know how to respond. And it really took up until I feel like the Dayville game, they started turning the corner a little bit. They had another dip when we played MA, and then they picked it back up, and we was in a dogfight with Beulah. Could have won the game, but we just didn't finish. That's part of the immaturity and the inexperience. Then you go down to Mobile Christian, and to me, they were the best team in 3A last year. They had a really good team, and we just didn't have the experience level. And I tell a lot of people, I think the biggest difference this year compared to last year is not just having the seniors. Over half our team was starting last year with sophomores, and we had some freshmen even starting. So that, to me, is the biggest difference this year, of having a team full of juniors and seniors, not just the seniors.
Yeah.
That's what I've seen the biggest difference, because naturally, not just that they didn't have game experience, as you get older, you naturally mature, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally as well. And the maturity level I've seen out of them is it's really good to see. I told them at halftime the other night, they're really excited. They came out with good energy after halftime, and right after the game, I congratulated them on getting the win. But the first thing I told them was, if we're ever down at halftime or facing adversity, you need to act the exact same way you did at halftime. And that's the constant message we're trying to preach to them. Any opportunity we get is know how to respond when things are bad, because the bad things are going to happen. That's part of not just football, that's part of life. So that's our focus, and it's been intentional trying to prepare them for this upcoming season.
You brought up your experience in coaching high school and coaching college as well, and you really got your start in college. You were a student assistant at Auburn, got hired at Beauregard by Coach Grider there, and really got started, like you told me, in college still, as a student. And from there, have just gone different places, and have gone up into the college ranks, come back down to high school, gone up, come back down, and finally you end up here. You told me you had 2 stints at Dayville, and you mentioned that Dayville game. For the Dayville game, was it something did you want to get after Dayville? Was it did it mean something to you just because you had been there? Is that something that?
Yeah, it was a little surreal being on the opposite sideline. Yeah. I like to call plays from the booth, so it was a little bit different experience. To say that game meant more to me than the others, I don't think that's the case. But after you win and you're playing your former head coach that gave you a start as your first coordinator job, it was definitely a good feeling. Coach White, he was great to me. Even back, I remember Coach Insminger. I was 19 years old, and I was a glorified manager basically with Coach Insminger. But that was a great experience. Coach Grider, 3 years I spent with him at Beauregard, he taught me a lot. I got to learn a lot of, program management from him, and obviously, he's the head coach at Dothan High now. He's had a very successful career. And, going from there under Coach White, one thing Coach White did, he let me, even at a young age, do exactly what I wanted to do on offense. And we had some really good years on offense when I was at Dable. We consistently were in the top 3 offensively. Some years we, were a better run team than a pass team, but we always adapted to our personnel, and that's when I went on to Prairie View. I got to coach under Mark Orlando and head coach at Sheem Northern, and that was another great situation. Coach Northern, he let Coach Orlando do exactly what he wanted to, and me and Mark's real good friends, and that was a fun year. We led the country in offense that year, or was in the top 5, and just to carry that over and the experiences of coming here, this feels like home to me. Everywhere you go. You as a coach, you're going to make some moves if you move up in the ladder. But there's a reason we bought a house here and settled in here, and I want my kids to go to school here because Pike Road's a special place. It's I think a little bit unknown some places in the state, but we're building a multi-million-dollar facility. We're going to have a brand new renovated field house. We're going to have a brand new renovated school. It's going to be beautiful here. We're on our 3rd campus in just 4 years. It's a fast-growing area, and our field is going to be, in my opinion, the best in the state. It's going to be top of line, top quality. The colors are going to look amazing. The drop you have coming down the road, I'm sure you saw it when you pulled in. It's very satisfying from where we were at basically it was an open field, having to figure out how to practice versus now we'll have one of the best setups in the state. So, we're really excited.
You've been, like we mentioned, all over the place and up and down in the college ranks, high school ranks, but what was it about Pike Road and the opportunity to come be the first coach here and all that really attracted you to come here and be a part of this?
I had a friend of mine call me and told me I really need to look at applying for this job, and with any job, really with anything, I do a lot of research, and everything I started researching was nothing but positive. I mean, number one, the community and the support that it had even when the school first started and athletics were just starting, it was tremendous. The people of Pike Road, you can't get any better. The living situation in Pike Road, you can't get any better. And the proximity you have still to be in Montgomery County and being right close to East Chase and shopping and restaurants, it's really, for my family, it's a, picture perfect place where we want to raise our kids, but also have the amenities that, we want to have access to, and the people. It's all about people and relationships, and you're not going to find a better group of people than what's in Pike Road.
Taking over the job and really with this being your first head coaching gig, and then taking a group and having to build them up the way that you've had to, what was that like? Obviously it was a lot different than what a lot of coaches have to go through, and so what was that process like?
I felt like it was an advantage for me because I've always been told no matter how much you prepare to be a head coach, there's things you're not going to learn until you're on the job. So a lot of the administrative side of it, I was able to really get my feet wet the first couple years. So I felt like when we got into varsity, it was not so much about learning at that point how to be administratively a good head coach, but just continuing how to build a team and get a team focused each week, and delegation and making sure that your coaches are on the same page, because when you coordinate just an offense or even take a step back when you're just a position coach, you're really getting directions from the coordinator and the head coach. And when you're a coordinator, you're still just managing your assistant coaches on offense, whereas the head coach, you got to manage the entire staff and the entire team from every facet. And that's something I've always wanted to do. And God opened the window, and he thought our door rather, and he thought it was the right time for me to have that opportunity. And so far I've been blessed. This is it's really remarkable when you stop and think what's going on here. And this is not because of everything I've done. It's just, again, I go back to support. Every turn that we needed something to help us get through an obstacle, there's been somebody there to help. We got a tremendous superintendent, Dr. Chuck Ledbetter. We got a tremendous board. We got a tremendous town. We got a tremendous mayor. Everything is a culmination of what makes this place great. And I truly believe I'm one of the luckiest guys in the state. Just from a not just a situation standpoint, but from this being my first head job to be able to really set history, because to my knowledge, no one's made the playoffs in first year varsity with no seniors. I know Helena did it their first year, but they had seniors. But that's special. I don't think it really hits these kids yet that they were part of history and are always going to be in the AHSAA record books, and nobody can take that away from them.
Do you kind of feel like that you did have an advantage coming here and just really being able to just set your standard, your program, the way that you want things done? Because, for a lot of coaches, you go take over a new job and there was a previous coach there. Right. Here, you've gotten to come in and the kids have only ever known you as their coach. Right. Do you feel like that is an advantage for you?
That was a huge advantage. Before I took the job, I talked to Justin Rogers. He's one of my best friends, and he's now the head coach at Colquitt County in Georgia. And I was not aware of any place in Alabama that had did this early by hiring their head coach, really 2.5 years before varsity even starts. But he told me in Georgia there were some places that had done that, and those teams, they were night and day more competitive than teams that had just hired that coach that first year. Definitely, it was a huge advantage. I think that's a big reason why we made the playoffs. Really because we had them on a weight program since I've gotten here. A lot of times you come into a new situation, they might or might not have been lifting weights and been physically developed, but our kids were physically developed. It was the mental aspect that we tried our best to get them ready, but it's just one of those deals where you can tell somebody anything you want, but sometimes they need to experience it for themselves to really believe it. And I think, Easton said a little bit about buying in. I think that obviously they've been bought in because we were winning. I think the part that they needed to buy in on a little bit more is you're either getting better or you're getting worse in practice each week, and you got to bring it every day in practice. And part of that too, I can't remember if it was Easton or CJ, and he was talking about our numbers. Just gaining a 9th grade class and having full 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th graders is a huge difference, because we went from a little over 40 players to a little over 60, and now we're able to actually split into 2 units and really have a more efficient practice and have more depth and guys playing than we was able to do last year. So it's a culmination of things of why I think we had success last year and why I think this year could potentially even be better.
Not only with all that though, but for a football team, they have to also buy into the coach and want to play for him. And so do you feel like you being here early also helped in them wanting to play for you? And you got to get the kids behind you and and give them a purpose to play for.
Absolutely. First of all, we got great kids. I love them. It's very unique that a coach is able to mold them, like you said, from the beginning. And I feel like we've had buy-in, and they've taken to me because, at the beginning I was the only coach, and we had a couple of volunteers, and we added coaches each year, and I was the only one. I was kind of like their dad. I was the only one that had to discipline them. I had to lift them in the weight room. I was able to hug them, take them out to eat, take them over to my house. And the evolution that's happened, now I can be more of a director and still love up on them, but now I have a full coaching staff that I tell each coach, you're head coach of your position, so you have to handle the discipline of your position. And we've got a great staff now, and they've done a good job with that. And I've been able to embrace a true head coaching role and not have to wear as many hats as some people have to do. But it's been a fun ride. The kids, again, we got great kids. You can't ask for better kids than what we got. So it's been fun.
Have you seen the buy-in from the whole school grow since this started?
I wouldn't say it necessarily. It's definitely grown, but they've always been bought in. Again, the sport's tremendous. All the students that don't play football still support it, and not just football. They support everything. If there's an event going on at Pike Road, it's going to be supported, and that's again a testament to the parents in the town and just the leadership we have. So it's definitely grown, but the reason I think it's grown is not because there wasn't buy-in before. There's coaches' buy-in, but our school's growing. We're growing at a rapid pace.
Yeah.
That's why we had to basically add two campuses in the past 2 years. The growth rate's tremendous. Not a lot of houses are being built out here in movement to East Montgomery. So that's why I think, yeah, it's definitely grown, but it's because the population of the entire school has grown.
You mentioned the facility out here, and tell us a little bit about your situation right now with facilities and stuff like that, and how much is this new one really going to help you in your program?
It's tremendous. Right now we're at our old middle school field, and we're having a bus every day in practice, and that's natural grass. And to be able to walk out of your field house and then 30 feet, you're going to be on your game field, and you're able to practice on your game field, and you always have lines and the spatial awareness of where you're at. That's an unbelievable advantage. Even when it rains, the drainage is so good on our artificial turf field. The rain doesn't affect us not being able to go out there and have to worry about slipping or anything like that. It's a huge advantage, I think, to be able to play on your game field and practice on it and have a fixed camera view in places, because that's where you're going to be.
Yeah.
So we're tremendously excited about that.
For this year's team, we talked about it, 2-0 start, similar to last year. Really run through the first two opponents. As the head coach, though, having experience of last year, knowing how last season went and the turn it took, what's your message to this team on how to keep this momentum going and how to just keep building off what you guys have done so far?
Doesn't matter who we're playing, we're trying to get better every week. We're trying to go 1-0 every week. We're preparing if bad stuff's going to happen. That is a non-negotiable. So we're constantly telling them to know how to deal with adversity when it hits. Constantly, anytime we get to bring that up or use teaching moments, we do that. Just like the other night, we're of course we're going to game plan and prepare the same for every opponent, but to never underestimate an opponent. No matter what you think the film looks like or what you perceive in your mind as them being really good or really bad, shouldn't matter. We're just going to prepare and we're going to practice and we're going to get better every week. And if we do that, I think we're going to be fine.
Well, Coach, I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with me. Yes, sir. And I'm excited for you guys here, and hope that you guys can continue to build off this momentum, continue to carry it throughout the year, and really looking forward to seeing how this year goes.
We appreciate it. Thank you.